What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we have a brand new band, another band that we have never checked out before on the channel. I've heard a lot about these guys just by seeing other, reaction channels, my other YouTube buddies checking these guys out over the past few years. So today my man Brandon has requested that I react to Fear and Dagger, which is their 2022 album. It's an hour and 6 minutes long, and Brandon has sent me some information about the band, so I'm just going to read it out and we will jump straight into the album then. He said, "Sup Poppy, will do my best to provide you some knowledge on Paleface, but quite frankly I'm terrible at explaining anything. Strongly recommend watching this video if you want a good explanation about the group." They are a slam deathcore band from Switzerland, hence the Swiss in the name. They had to add that recently due to copyright. Okay, that's actually very interesting. I always wondered why it was Paleface Swiss. It was like me making a band and calling it like Ireland at the end, which is kind of weird, or Irish. It's like Drew Fortune's band, Irish. This album is their most refined in every aspect, with them perfecting the sound they're going for. It's their second full-length album with 2 EPs prior. How I would describe the group is being extremely aggressive and in your face with their delivery when it comes to the instrumentation, lyrical content, and especially the vocals. For me, they're the driving point with the band. Not trying to give away too much about the vocals from Mark Zelli, because in my opinion he is one of the most unique in the genre. It will become very apparent once you hear him. When it comes to subject matter, I will paste a quote from the band. "Our new album, Fear and Dagger, focuses on more mature and critical topics related to the fears and struggles young people like us have to contend with in the 21st century. Most importantly, the topic of mental health. It will be very evident when you listen to the album. The first song especially is very telling, but I don't want to give away any spoilers for it. Hope this was enough, and keep up the great work as always, and much love. Congrats once again on going full-time and being able to live your dream, Brandon." Brandon is the man. Brandon is the fucking go. Brandon's been here since day one, always been on the Twitch streams, and he's obviously supporting me via this tier as well, and he has been supporting me on Patreon pretty much since day one. So love you, Brandon. Thank you for this request, and I look forward to getting into it. So without any further ado, guys, drop a like on this video. Make sure you drop a like. I'm watching. And we're going to jump into the entire Fear and Dagger album by Paleface Swiss, 2022 release. 16 songs. Okay. 1 hour and 6 minutes long. Let's go.
I don't want to see it. Because every fucking time that you want me to watch something, it ends up just being fucking terrifying. No, you don't understand. I don't want to watch this shit because it's gross. It's scary. Of course it's fucking scary because I don't want to watch people fucking die anymore. I don't want to watch this anymore. I want you to leave. I want you to leave. I want you to leave. Please leave. Please leave. I don't want to watch this anymore. I don't want you to be here anymore. I just want to... Please leave me alone. Leave me alone. Mama, mom, 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 mama, mom, 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 mom. God, got her! Dad, got her! Please don't do it. Mommy, I love you. I love you.
pain. Now you get fucked. Feel the real pain. Now you get fucked. Fuck it up. Fuck it up. Feel tyrant when you're the witnesses. Say I'm running the vision because it's just what they go on me. You're trying to resist and all of them what it fucks me. For the dead, for the cure, for this pain. And for the young, then my blood was spent. For the young, then I got my neck. Then for the young, and for the young, and fuck me. This is Paleface. Fuck you! What the fuck does so expect? Swings on its finest. It's back with the deep got it pain. What the
Whoa, that is how you do an intro. I'll tell you that for one. Right. Okay, I like how that does actually properly serve as an introduction to the band, even though it wasn't like, obviously they don't expect me to be sitting here doing a reaction for the first time listening to any of their music when it happens to be this album. So that was actually a cool introduction. Intro, I can definitely see why Brandon was like, you know, I won't spoil too much, but that was a, you know, I kind of thought it maybe would be a problem without the lyrics on the screen, but I heard it loud and clear. There was no need for me to have the lyrics on screen. Honestly, I thought it was going to be like a kind of a metaphorical approach of, because Brandon mentioned like people of our age growing up in this generation, I was thinking maybe it was maybe a play on the idea of someone watching, you know, being addicted to social media and they're being like force fed these gore videos that you see on Twitter all the time. Like you open up Twitter, like I stay off Twitter because it's just the most toxic app on earth. I know there's a lot of toxic social media platforms, but Twitter just takes the cake because you're just almost like force fed so much shit you never signed up for. But because of how the human brain is wired, it's just so hard to click away from certain things, even though you know it's going to ruin your day. So based on what he was saying, it was like basically some dude crying out because he doesn't want to watch a video, and then he started going into like screaming for his parents to help him. So I kind of started to drift away from that idea, but that was the original thought that I was going with. So I still don't fully understand what he was referring to in the intro track. Like really, it was just kind of fucked up, but it did set a really cool like dark undertone to the album. And then I like how they almost introduced their sound but also their style in the second track, which we just had. And I like how it almost felt like a live performance within the track. It was like, you know, almost as if he was talking to a crowd on the first track. It almost felt like I just watched them perform live, with the kind of eerie thematical intro track that just set the tone. And then the second track was them coming on stage and actually performing. You know, you get the slam sound, which is, I'm guessing, is what we just heard. Obviously, you can hear the kind of deathcore influence as well. So yeah, that was a pretty cool intro. Brandon was definitely spot on with his assessment that it is very in your face. Like I haven't had any moments to kind of relax and just, you know, try and figure out what's going on. It's all live. Just, you know, it's all happening as you see it here. So yeah, let's go into Suppressing Times and let's see, you know, how their sound evolves. I think I already like this sound. It's very it's on the deathcore spectrum, but it's more on the groovier side, which is definitely up my street.
I nothing to over me. Thoughts have changed what they own and what they want me to be. This next story's on the table, that is sensitive me. That the agony and pain of the urge to be. I've been threatened that was accept, always everything. I am lost control, and I'm fucking stupid in the flip. The rose is done, and round the day. Come on in, let me show you what I see. Take your fucking love, walk up by your love. Now I just want to leave this fucking place and get on all your own. I just want to break your bone, go away and fucking go. I just want to lay you down, I want to fucking do so. Fuck me up, bitch you fuck me up. Motherfucker, you will never really fuck me up. I give up, fucking I give up. When I'm not one that you take anymore. We ain't just voices, so we're taking over every part of me. These are suppression times. Suppression times. The devil is of me, it isn't a death, it's only choosing instinct. I think I'm a different reality, you think you're the same. So I'm the only place.
Kind of feels like a less cringe Slipknot right now.
It's always meant to be. It's always meant to be. The devil is of me, it isn't a death, it's only choosing instinct. What's in my life, I can tell you that you're the same. So I'm the only place, I'm in solution. So let me live your notion to my feeling that you're feeling that you're feeling that you're alive. Let me show you something that the takes. I'm a neck of the thing with the pain and the dagger on my chest. As it goes over the edge, right that shape of fall. From the top of her neck to the bottom of my tummy, trying to get into the weight. What the fuck of this is shit? I just wanna go with grave. I just wanna aim a fix of every time with the break of fall. There's a lesson gave me more wrong. And it's answer to taste my fate on. One look at the second, the blood of my top of the ring and goes out in the world. The devil in the mix is how you fucking niggas. My eyes open to what can see it. Where's that fucking fingers?
This is fucking cool. I really fuck with this a lot, I'm not gonna lie. This is so different. That's some of the most unique vocal delivery I've heard. Brandon definitely hit the nail on the head with that assessment, that it is very, very unique and it's hard to even pin down. I would say the closest I can, you know, make a comparison to right now is that kind of Slipknot delivery from a vocal standpoint, but maybe the old school Slipknot. You know, it's definitely very Corey Taylor-esque, but obviously the backing instrumental is definitely a lot more groovy than Slipknot. Slipknot feels like a lot more kind of thrash style where it's very fast, which again is certain parts that Slipknot definitely do get into certain groovier sections, which is cool, but this just feels like a lot more like in a modern approach to Slipknot, I guess. And definitely still very unique. Like even the vocal delivery at that, it's akin to Corey Taylor, but it's still quite different. The vocalist is very, very good. I love the anger. It's just fucking really hyping me up. I have a new band to listen to in the gym. I've got a shit ton of bands. It's funny because I look back and I always remember when I first streamed and I was kind of getting into Tesseract and like the kind of I'll say softcore side of the core genre, you know, with that sounds mental, but anyway, I'll continue on. Tesseract, these gent style bands that are, you know, I would say to a certain extent, now that I look at the journey that I've been on, quite entry level. They're good entry level bands. Don't get me wrong, I still love Tesseract, obviously, but you know, they're definitely easier listening than something like this. And I remember Brandon used to be in the streams like all the time, and like people would be suggesting different things, and Brandon was always very much so suggesting tracks like this that would have been, well, I suppose he had a kind of a blend of different heavier style tracks, but also quite unique. Like I think he sent me a Thank You Scientist track before, and it was like very different. But I always remember being like, never thinking that me and Brandon's music taste clicked. So that's a good kind of indicator for me, because I always look back on that and I'm like, always kind of used to say to Brandon, I don't think you're ever going to get it. But now I feel like Brandon actually gets me a lot. He knows exactly what I do, like, because a lot of the things that Brandon has really been hyping up and like suggesting for me has been stuff that I've actually ended up really fucking with, like a lot of the deathcore stuff, which I really did not used to click with. So that's always a cool like milestone or indicator. I always think back to like those days and like the stuff that Brandon used to suggest, and now I listen to it now and I'm like, yeah, this is definitely kind of what I'm looking for, I guess. Obviously I still have a broad, you know, music taste that I like to delve into different parts, but deathcore has definitely, you know, over the last few months become something that I'm really getting into, with bands like Fit for an Autopsy, Spite, I can't think of any other ones off the top of my head. But now these guys as well, I know they're not like exclusively deathcore, but there is that like slam style, so that's new, I guess. I think we've done maybe one or two other bands that have like slam elements. But yeah, shout out to Brandon. Let me bring this back to the last track, just so we fade into this one correctly, because it looks like we're going to get a big intro.
Let's shove it down your throat to find out and make your way out to the road and you think that I'm one of them? No one will make it, they might not travel. You think that there's a vision, something does you anything that want to step forward. What the mistakes you've made, they blame it on your religion. Justify yourself by saying that this way and that way in the Bible. Stand up, inside of you, touching pain and food and stuff down to poisoning. Spits on you and make prophecies and treasures really is scaring you. You waging murder, but you're not God to work it. Wanted by the words it's not to you. What it just a cancer, this thing that comes down to reflect the shape of this blade. From the brain that breaks and form the words that read. The blood that spills, the flesh comes, the birds that stand. Fuck you, Jesus!
Oh, they went there. Fuck. Alright, that's a ballsy move, man. I think they've kind of crossed the line maybe a few times, but so I don't think that's really over the limit at this point for them. It just fits the vibe so well though.
Are not natural just because it's not written in your stupid book. What the fuck? The only fucking thing that's not natural is your stupid religion, cause it's made up by human fucking heads. Well, fuck you. Start fucking swinging!
I'm pretty sure Spite did something like this. I thought they're gonna start speeding up there. This is a strong album, lads. I'm interested to see, that was a really unique breakdown as well. The little Wow. So they've been touching on a lot of interesting topics. I mean, it's definitely been done before and I've seen it in different bands, but this is, again, like what Brandon mentioned, the most direct approach I've seen to just completely, blatantly, obviously calling out religion, which is obviously a controversial topic. It's music, it's art, so I'm not going to look into it too deep, obviously. I also just don't care that much either, but it is definitely a divisive album, which can, you know, bring a lot of negative criticism, but can also bring a lot of people into the band, because if you look too deep into it, obviously you're maybe going to be offended by it, but if you just look at it from an artistic standpoint, then it's pretty fucking cool. They're just going for it. Very, very aggressive. Again, this seems like one of those bands that you would do well to avoid coming out of a live gig without a black eye. So yeah, I don't know if that would be my scene live, but I can definitely see why people would enjoy seeing them live. Yeah, this is a fucking gym playlist from start to finish, to say the least. Also interested to hear, because it is an hour and 6 minutes long, will this fatigue after a little while? Because, not to say that I'm there yet, but it'll be interesting to see, you know, how they can play into the overall length, because this doesn't strike me as an album that should be over an hour long. You know, like a lot of these prog albums, you know, make sense because they're really, you know, progressive, you know, hence the name. And there's a lot of, you know, downtime in the album where it doesn't feel like you're just being blasted for an hour, over an hour long. Whereas this one, these guys don't really strike me as a band that's going to take any breaks, but that is what the intrigue is, because I'm loving it so far. Obviously, it's still early days in the album, but I'd be interested to see, you know, how they can, you know, show some versatility, I guess. Maybe not, but maybe they'll make the hour and 6 minutes not feel that long because of how good the, you know, the content is. So we'll see. Let's make a deal with the devil. And again, lyrics suggest that we're just going to get absolutely punched around. You guys can't see it, but it starts with "I hate you all" 3 times in a row, and then "Death Touch, fuck you." Here we go. I'm guessing this is that like slam breakdown style. This is what it sounds like. I'm being slammed. It's kind of like slower deathcore almost.
This is death thoughts.
Again, really reminded me of the early Slipknot days. Some of the tracks off Iowa. Again, I don't know how true it is. This is like an old kind of wives' tale, but there is talks that in one of the tracks, is it the intro to Iowa? I can't even remember. I haven't listened to the album in a while, but Corey Taylor apparently, again, sounds kind of like bullshit, but this is what everyone seems to say about Slipknot, is that like Corey Taylor was like in the booth, like fucking slitting his wrist or some shit like that while he was recording, which just seems mental when I just said it like that, so I just truly don't believe that, but maybe it's true. But anyway, the point being is that there's a lot of tracks on Iowa, regardless of what Corey Taylor was actually doing in the booth, there's like, you can hear that anguish in his voice. It's almost as if he's like crying into the microphone and also like laying down the verse, and they just don't take out any of the crying or like the real fucking pain in his voice. And this one, you can hear him like, it's just such raw vocals. You can hear him like sighing and breathing into the mic, which just adds this like overall tension in the track, and really, you know, plays into the heavy nature of what they're speaking about. So yeah, again, not my like favorite track in terms of like, it's not playlist, but it's definitely one of those that I could see myself like. So far I've kind of like viewed this as no skips. Like if I was in the gym right now, I would probably just continue playing this album, if that makes sense. First, track 2 and 3 were the best tracks so far. 3 was the one I liked. 2 probably I could have liked. I sometimes forget to like them, but I can go back and listen to it again and obviously like them accordingly. But let's continue on. This is Nailed to the Tooth. There you go, that raw breathing into the mic. Yes. Oh, vocals are classic. This is a like just so different, man. Fuck my life up, fuck myself, fuck my own life up. What was your life? What was your life? That's how I know it. Fuck my life up, fuck myself, fuck my own life up. What was your life? I want that, get that fucked out of this shit. Yeah, the speed changes feel very tasteful, and they feel like they're actually really well thought out, as opposed to like some of the actual instrumental changes here feel really good. It's like you're not getting too comfortable with a certain beat, and it's like allowing you to kind of always stay alert. I think that's a good point with it. But the vocal change up as well, the speed that the vocalist is actually like singing out or screaming out, rapping out, whatever you want to call it, is very interesting as well, because I feel like the only thing I can really think of right now, and again, the actual genre itself isn't comparable. It's like the way Ronnie Radke like raps in Falling in Reverse feels very like forced. Don't know if this would be considered rap, but it definitely like is definitely a lot faster than what you traditionally hear in like deathcore, metalcore, any of the cores. So it feels very tasteful. It's like done correctly. I think it's like, you know, at the end of a sentence he'll like speed it up, and then it will like change tempo in the actual instrumental. So there's so much like change that's happening. It kind of keeps it fresh all the time, which I think is going to be important if, again, this album is going to last the hour, over an hour long, because everything is so intense. I think it needs that, you know, freshness being breathed into. I think that breathed. Why does this not sound right either? Breath. It needs that breath of fresh air. There we go, that works. I'm still back to breathe. Fuck! Anyway, you get what I'm trying to say. It's that breath. I'm doing it again. Good. What was it the time of the sequence? Sitting with one thing in front of me, and at the moment I know my knees. I am the locust ears with the even live for the thing of infinity. When you close, when you skin, look my hands and yours. Look at that life and articulate the choice. Yeah, he's like, You can hear him going insane, man.
I'm just suffering from all of the emotions. I'm gonna feel like I'm under dead. I'm asking myself if I'm dead, everything that I live in the time. I'm constantly trying to figure out the message I'm in the present. I keep asking myself, what the fuck do I fucking up? Answer the fucking top. Answer the fucking top. Answer the fucking top. Answer the fucking
It made me become Spider-Man.
top. Answer the fucking top. Answer the fucking top.
Oh my god.
Fuck my life up. Fuck myself. Fuck my own life up. Fuck my life up. Fuck myself. Fuck my own life up. What was I live? What was I live? That's how I know it. Fuck my life up. Fuck myself. Fuck my own life up. What was I live? I can't get the fuck out. What the fuck is up? Fuckers. Motherfucker.
Oh my god, again, it feels like a live show.
Don't they know? Fucking no!
Wow. I think I can recreate some of that sound. Hold on, let me see if this megaphone.
Hello? Let me turn off the... Fuck my life. Let's see what he said.
Fuck myself, fuck my life. What was I live? That's how I know it. Fuck my life up. Fuck myself, fuck my own life up. What was I live? I can't get the fuck out. What the fuck is up? Fuckers. Answer the fucking top! 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 Answer the top! Fuck my life up! Fuck my life up!
Yeah, it's kind of like a... some kind of like a megaphone effect.
Fuck my own life up! Fuck my life up! Fuck my life up!
Anyway.
Just wanted to use my soundboard. And I just farted. Fuck it. Okay, we got a landmarks feature here. Wasn't the biggest fan of Landmarks Lost in the Wave album. The vocalist kind of annoyed me, but we'll see if he hits harder on this. Let me see if I can do an impression of the Landmarks vocalist before we get into it. Okay, let me think about this. Alright, I won't do that again. I'm sorry. Sound like fucking Ronald McDonald.
You wanna fuck's up been dead for so long? I hear the voices giving you love. I heard that faces shutting my soul. The really close to be fun. I've been here for so long. Every time it's like I'm getting in, I'm trying to forget it, but I'm feeling from the get-go. Let's go. Everything's about a block, I think I'll never be the same again. I won't forget your face though. Someone doesn't forgive me, they will forgive you. Everything you're wrong is falling apart. Just everything I know is made to get away from me. You wanna so regret it. When you're at the dream that we ever did. You wanna so forget it. Everything that the life is mine. You are not so confessing the bombard. When your ashes are done right out of the sun. You wanna so regret it. The regrets that I ever had. You wanna so forget it. Forget it. Shit. Forget to me. When you start swallowing the burn of your memory. The knife you stuffed down my throat. Can't save out everything you left with me. I regret it. This make me so blighting and demonstrating. Continue to laugh at me until you take my motherfucking life.
Alright, that track fell off a little bit for me towards the end. The intro was so fucking good, right up my street. Landmark's vocalist is okay. Again, it's just very hard for me to get used to his vocal style because it's very like deliberately crackly, and it definitely conveys a lot of emotion and definitely does work in the context of this album because obviously it's like so much like mental anguish just being screamed into the microphone, so the voice cracks really help to like get that message across, but still sounds a little bit off to me. It's just like, oh, what's it doing? Sounds like that Ronald McDonald. Do you ever watch Raka Raka, that YouTube channel, and they have the Ronald McDonald that just goes around butchering everyone? It just reminds me of that. If I can get a clip, I'll put it in. If not, I've completely forgotten about it. But that's kind of like what I think of when I hear it, which is kind of ruined it for me. But it's not bad. Like, he definitely has a very unique style. Like, if I heard that cadence anywhere else, I'd know it's him straight away. So I guess a lot of extra points for that unique quality. But I don't know if it's really the sound that I love. But yeah, not a bad track. Intro is definitely very cool. I think the intro alone, that groove, was probably the best in the album so far, so deserves playlist just for that, and then I'll decide later on if I want to keep it in the playlist or not. Okay, Slipknot. Okay. I just need someone to be hitting what did I hit? The big fucking silver things? What are they called? A keg. We need a keg to hit.
Stop trying like a bitch. What's the right to keep going? I fucked that line. Get the fuck up. Get the fuck up. Get the fuck up, you bitch.
They've done me so dirty. And that's the second time I tried to talk and my mic hasn't turned on.
What was sitting in my room? Crying. Why can't look the other way? Was I kid not giving a chance? Was I kid not giving a chance? What does I ask? I just went in my own face.
Get in my fucking basket. God spat in his face. Right. That's where we're going with these lyrics.
Like fucking hate your pants. Why I don't burst. What fuck you up?
I'm really struggling to predict where these guys are going. Which is a good thing. Like some of the vocal lines when they come in and some of the guitar rhythms.
Let's keep this shit going, come on! What's on my soul, goes like a way to left and right. Second try to left and right. Second left to left and right. Second way to left and right. Don't see on the way.
Oh my god, this is like a fucking modernized Slipknot. It has that same aggression, it doesn't feel forced, you know? The new Slipknot feels very forced, this feels like the old Slipknot.
Fucking pussy, why does your family come down here and face me? You're going.
I like that subtle use of the post-production with the police siren in the background of the ambulance. Jesus, there's that vocal megaphone effect again. What are we gonna get? So raw, man. Jesus.
What was sitting in my room and got locked the other room? You're locked in the other fucking way.
It's crazy that this is my fucking job. I sit here, it's 10:30 on a Wednesday morning. I'm sitting here getting spat on. I'm happy out. Okay, before this goes in, I want to make a quick point that some of the rhythms in that track I've just written down here, what I'm going to try get into doing is either have a physical pen and paper, which is probably better off. I think I'd prefer just having a physical piece of pen and paper. But piece of pen and paper, that makes sense. Yeah, it does. Does it? I don't know. Don't care. You get what I'm talking about. So I've written down here just on a notepad. Some rhythms feel a little bit misplaced, or at least in that track, some of the vocal deliveries where I was expecting a breakdown or a part to actually hit were catching me off guard, and some of the actual, you know, guitar chugs were kind of catching me off guard because I was trying to do the whole, like, you know, guitar, air guitar, but it was catching me off, and that is always a good thing to me because it means that my brain hasn't been programmed to understand their sound yet, because I listen to so many different albums you know, on a weekly basis, so many different tracks, not only on YouTube, obviously in my own time, I'm like psychoanalyzing albums that I've already heard before, not deliberately, but just because I listen to them so, you know, so religiously, you know, so much that naturally I'm like picking up on rhythms, maybe more than the average listener would do, because like I said, it is technically my job now at this point. So I kind of feel like I want to learn as much as possible so that I can, you know, review content and, you know, give my honest thoughts as best as possible from like a point of someone who actually kind of knows what they're talking about, I guess. Obviously that's not where we started off whatsoever, but I am now definitely in this scene long enough to kind of know it better when it comes to trying to break down stuff. So some of the rhythms do feel misplaced, and I mean that in a very complimentary way. Like, me getting caught out by a certain part of a track isn't like, oh, why'd you catch me out? Like, I should have known. It's almost like it's actually a good thing, I see it as, because although I may look like an idiot on camera because I try to, like, you know, do a fucking or something like that, it catches me off guard because I am so used to like maybe traditional, you know, patterns in music because I've heard so much that when I do get caught out, I'm like, oh, you've done something different there. So just naturally, it is completely different than anything I've heard before because I'm not able to predict it. So that's a good thing as well. Although a lot of these sounds overall, I'm comparing it to old Slipknot, you know, that's the main comparison I can hear right now. Obviously the slam style is more of like a beatdown style than Slipknot. Slipknot definitely have like a more thrashy groove style, whereas this is definitely like sludgier is probably the word I'd use, but the vocal delivery is definitely very, very similar to Corey Taylor's older stuff. And again, the lyrics don't feel cringe, which is great as well, because that's where a lot of these albums can almost feel like they're trying to be too rebellious, and it's like, all right, fella, relax a little bit there. But this actually feels very, you know, pointed. So yeah, very good so far. I'm also not fatigued either. It's probably different because I'm reacting to it as well. I'm definitely like not listening to it as someone would be listening to it if they're just sitting, you know, in their fucking living room or at the gym. You know, it's kind of more background noise at that point, and you can just kind of like vibe along to it. But I'm like really trying to break it down. So I think fatigue can kick in a little bit faster when you're doing a review. Maybe you guys try it in your own time. You don't have to make a video. If you want to make a video, obviously by all means start a channel. But maybe like try and listen to an album for the first time. Even if you're listening to this with me for the first time, spend the rest of the album actually like really focusing in on everything, because that's what I do when I listen to these albums. And maybe that's why it can get fatiguing, because I'm like trying to like not overanalyze everything, but I'm trying to give the album the respect it deserves, because it's a first time reaction, and obviously my first time reaction is going to be published on YouTube forever. So I've done that before where I've kind of half-arsed videos or like not really paid that much attention to it. I end up loving the track, and then I start to hear all the different nuance in it that makes it so good, and I never discussed it when I first did the video. So that video is now on the internet forever until I delete it or I decide, you know, just it's got to go or gets taken down. So I like to try to give each album the respect it deserves. So that is the difference between, I guess, just casually listening to an album for the first time when you're just like at home and doing a reaction video as well. It can be a little bit different. So maybe just to get into the psyche, the next time you watch a video from me from start to finish, or even just go back to this video whenever you want and watch it from start to finish, and like try and like do the analyzing yourself and then see if our thoughts line up, if we kind of reacted in the same way. It's kind of like a little fun game. I do it sometimes with you know, other artists or other reaction channels, other reaction channels that I listen to or watch. I'll like listen along with it, and I'll try to remember the points that I made, obviously, because I only really watched the videos of tracks that I've actually heard before. So it's fun to kind of like watch along and see their brain like turning and the cogs turning and like what they're going to say and that kind of thing. So, and seeing if they like pick up on certain moments. Traders. Okay, I've never heard these guys. Traders. I feel like isn't that what your man, he's in the Vengeance, Project Vengeance? Yeah, it's Tyler Shelton from Project Vengeance. I recognize Traders. So this is my first time hearing, well, it's not my second time hearing anything from Tyler Shelton.
what forgets. Your son of the bird. What the fuck is up? This is fucking chaos theory. Seeing red. Introducing, hailing all the way from the mountains of the Swiss Alps with a combined weight of 675 pounds. May I introduce to you from this world is getting to our heads. Now
This is so sick. It feels like a live show. I'm guessing that was traders introducing Paleface back in. Oh my god, this is so filth. I think that was I like that track more so because of how unique it was with the two bands, because normally, for example, you get like see, I don't know, when they use the feature Landmarks, does that mean it's just the lead vocalist from Landmarks, or are they actually getting the whole band involved? Because you'd suggest, you know, normally it would be like, you know, a feature from fucking Noah Sebastian. It would say featuring Noah Sebastian and you'd hear his vocals, but this is like featuring Landmarks and then featuring Traders. So I don't know if they're just using that as like the global term to suggest that it's what's his name? Tyler Sheldon, I think. Tyler Shelton, maybe? Traders band. Yeah, Tyler Shelton. So instead of saying Tyler Shelton or the lead vocalist from Landmarks, I don't know what his name is, they're saying the whole band. So I'm kind of confused. So was that Tyler Shelton at the start of that track and then he introduced Paleface back in? So it just, again, kind of feels like a live show happening in the actual album. Again, going back to the first and second track where it really gave you that live show experience. I'd say this will absolutely go off when it's played live, or when they were played live. You know, I'd say just generally they're very good live. All of their music is so fucking intense. Again, I'd be avoiding those mosh pits like the plague, because yeah, a few teeth would be lost, a few black eyes. Yeah, The Orphan.
Get the fuck out!
is so sick. Oh my god. Oh yeah. I love these bands that are very focused on like call-outs and climactic moments that lead into big slam downs or breakdowns. These guys are very like effective call-outs. Oh, this guy is fucking insane, man. It keeps getting heavier! Alright, I feel like this would be a good moment to have a quick break. I've seen... I think some comments suggested, I don't think, I have seen comments that have suggested maybe I should take breaks to kind of gather my thoughts during albums. Now, honestly, I need to go to the toilet, so that is partly why I'm suggesting this, but I think it does make sense, especially with an album that is over an hour long. It is definitely prone to fatigue with something that is as intense as this. So what I'll do is, I'm going to pause real quick and just double check where we are in the album. I believe we're going into track 11, which is still like, we're still pretty far from actually finishing it. Let me just see exactly where we are. So we currently are at The Orphan. We're finishing up The Orphan, which is track 10, moving into track 11. So we still have 12, 14, 16, 20, like 23 minutes left, which isn't that long, but it's definitely, for how long we've been listening, it's getting to that point where it's like, right, okay, it could probably finish in and around the next 10 minutes or so, maybe even 5 minutes, like another track or two, and I think that would be kind of perfect. So I'm kind of waiting to see where we go from here, because again, it's been very, very good, but there is a lot of tracks that could probably be maybe taken out. Or maybe one or two tracks, because I've liked a lot of tracks, to be fair. So I think by the end of it, we could nearly almost take all of the tracks that I've liked and make that the album, and then leave out everything else. Because it feels like one of these albums that's so intense that it could probably be like 35 to 40 minutes long. But it's still incredible so far. Let me take a break, come back in like 5 minutes. I'm going to grab a coffee or something, and we will attack the end of the album, okay? I don't see these guys taking their foot off the pedal.
Listen up. I really need to get some shit off my chest. And I need to apologize for who I am. Shit. Sorry for what I have done to you, all the shit you have been through, all the pain you felt was true, and all the tears you cried. Oh, fuck. Come on, man, you got this, even though it hurts. Yeah! I'm so afraid, I'm not sure if this shit is real. I'm not sure what I should do or how I should fucking feel. I'm not sure if I'll ever make it out of this, cause I don't know what will happen after I let go of it. I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to tell you what I have done to you, just to cover up the fear of going through something that no one wants to. Yeah, but I've been through before, and I don't wanna do this ever again, so I lied to you and never told you the truth, even though I know I have to. You wanted the truth. Yeah, I'm trying to let go of everything, but it's hard to accept the mistakes that I did at the time where I thought I did everything. Ah, fuck! I don't know how I was.
Oh my, that was literally the perfect time to break, because we've come back in and I was kind of like, right, we've got another 20 minutes. How are these guys going to make me engaged? Because I've heard like 40 minutes or so of kind of the same style music. Again, a lot of amazing tracks in there, a lot of playlisted tracks, a lot of groove, a lot of fun. But do I need another 25 minutes of it? Probably not. Like, I've kind of gotten what I think I can take away from this album. But this is just like the perfect reintroduction. It's almost if I literally paused it at the perfect track. So this is like Suicide Boys or something. This is like something I've never heard before. The Swiss accent is so unique to hear on a track as well. That's something I don't think I've ever heard before. Again, you barely even realize there's an accent when they're screaming and when they're doing their thing for the last 40 minutes. But now it's like almost this subtle reminder that, okay, this is where these guys are from. It's very unique to them. And we're also getting a completely different sound instrumentally. We're getting like a kind of 808 sound, hip hop style. Again, very Suicide Boys. That's what it reminds me of.
But it's hard to accept the mistakes that I did at the time where I thought I did everything. Ah, fuck! I don't know how I was able to hurt you like that. I don't know how I was able to fuck everything out of that. Better do us separate from each other, but stay sweet. How many did I do my fucking cup and I don't feel well? I took a final breath, I let my hand go forward. I thought would have kept me so safe. The guy that I fuck was the reason why I hate myself. I had to take the gun for myself, want to make me myself, and I just wanna be myself, and I just wanna save myself, and I just wanna body. I just wanna body up and down without you. Can't judge, I can fucking out, take the blood from my head, I tell you to. What would I do with it? I'm gonna take it to fucking empty inside of my self-inside. Forgiveness is the blood of my unity. I tried everything to become everything to you. You want everything, you want everything to me. You want everything and you're ready to live in my life. Follow me, this is my fucking way to my
Oh my god, man, they're smashing this. It's exactly what I wanted. There's something different to switch it up and change the tempo. That's brilliant. Oh,
lay with me in my grave.
what the fuck, that got me, man. Wow, man, that choked me up out of nowhere. I was not expecting that. Oh my god. Jesus, guys, that is the perfect example. And the one thing that comes to my mind after hearing that track is like how context within an album is so important. If they were to release this as a single, I think a lot of people would be so pissed off. They'd be like, what is going on here? I don't know what their sound is normally like, but I can imagine it's probably quite far removed from something like this. So if they have to just release that, people will be like, what is going on? Which is hence why the single release order is so important for bands, because it really gives people an idea of like what they're going to get with the album. Or it could be a complete like switch up. So if they were to drop something like this, people could be very like, fuck, this is going to be such a different album, they're going to fuck it up. But then this feels so right. Like I've just mentioned, this was like the perfect time to put this in, because I was just getting to that point. Literally, I took my break because I was like, this feels like I kind of need something to switch up now. So maybe take a break, come back and listen to it fresh. And now I'm like excited to go again in the album. You know, it's like, just, it was perfect. Absolutely perfect. The pacing now feels very, very relevant, or the pacing feels right now, if that makes sense. Like before I was kind of like, right, if they just continue with this for an hour and 6 minutes, it's not going to feel right. Now I feel like they've given themselves that license to kind of give me another 15-20 minutes of violence, because that felt so fucking well done. Again, I think I probably wouldn't have loved that track that much. It wouldn't have meant as much to me without the context of what I've just heard so far. So that's, again, like I keep harping on about it, but that's why the singles that are released up until an album is dropped are so important to kind of build hype. And that was just absolutely brilliant. So yeah, that caught me as well. I didn't expect to be like feeling in any way, shape or form emotional over an album like this, but you know, that's fucking class, man. Now we're gonna get fucked. Yeah. Again, it still remains unpredictable. I still have no fucking idea what's going on. Also, never heard of these Justice for the Damned guys, so I'm not sure who they are.
Don't sleep with one eye open. Hello, fuck you.
Interesting. Yeah, I have no idea where Justice for the Damned were in there at all. Is it the first guitar solo we got? First lead I've really noticed. It's just been so rhythmically orientated. This track is starting to feel a little bit repetitive. I like how they're very what's the word I'm looking for here? Patriotic. Yeah, patriotic.
Fuck you! Switzerland's finest heavy music! Go fuck yourself!
It's like the most aggressive version of being patriotic possible.
One more time!
That's the most aggressive patriotism I've ever heard in my life. But I like it. Bite the curb. This is going to be aggressive, but it's also only 2 minutes long, so don't know what's going on outside. I can hear slamming going on. I'm awake. Relax.
Let's go to death, to the gun. Once I break upon what I strike, fight your fucking things to devil. Will you will never come home? If it does this insane, so get them out with the gun. So let's get them out with the gun.
Alright, this is pretty grim.
What's that? Oh, you can't speak. We haven't even reached the day. The fish of salvation, you so dearly desire. Get yourself fucking speaking for a while. Let me help you get your fucking teeth out. Fight. God was on this. Let me help you get your days out. This so fucking fascinating to me. Please don't never leave me. What's that? You have no more teeth. But we got your throat, so you're finally beautiful to me. Your lifeless
Alright.
is no use to me.
Well, that was an interesting 2 minutes. They don't waste any time at all, do they? Right. Title track. I kind of feel... Let me pause it real quick. Because we are... Although I did mention that we got to the point where I feel like it really needed that like change of pace, which we got with My Grave / Lay With Me, which was track 11. So we went 10 tracks, which I felt like was a really like strong pacing to the album, and then fatigue slowly kind of creeps in out of nowhere, and you're just kind of like, right, I'm a little bit bored. Is probably a harsh word because it's definitely not boring. It's just fatigue. That's the best way to describe it. It's just your brain just gets fatigued. And this isn't like I've been listening to music all day. This is like the first bit of music I listened to. I woke up this morning, got a coffee, nice and awake, got a good night's sleep, straight into it. So it's definitely one of those albums that wakes you up for sure. But even when I seen it, knowing Brandon's taste, knowing how heavy it would probably be, looking at the name of the album, Fear and Dagger, it's going to be heavy. Looking at the actual album artwork, which is awful in my opinion, that is like it's drawn by a 9-year-old. But anyway, when I seen an hour and 6 minutes, I was like, right, I think this is going to be very hard to not be quite long based on how heavy this is going to be. Definitely was correct in my assessment that it was going to be very heavy just by looking at the name and the album artwork. Obviously, Brandon kind of reassured me that it was going to be heavy, but it's been an amazing album. But we've got another like 13-14 minutes left, which does kind of worry me for the overall rating of the album. But I won't speak too soon. This is Fear and Dagger, which is again the title track, so we'll see how this one turns out. But I would fear that this is going to be a little bit too long of an album. But again, we'll see.
see you suffering. What's the trying to say you think it's run away? The messages just put on me, and you just don't live in me. Nothing to do anything again me. Women tell us such a record to the story. We ain't just such a rush up in me, and I wonder why me. I just want to kill the fucking misery and send me for the truth. Facing the defendant ceremony. Walking with you want that fairy tale in my body. Sensation they want to know her name is Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, oh me. You're on the sensation of my life, the soul.
Yeah, someone's clearly fucked the lyrics up on this one.
Woman always be the one to blame. There's no purpose for your fingertime. Suffering into your own place. Women tell us how to like it to the story. But it's inside the blood of baby and I wonder when me. It's just what to kill the fucking misery inside me. I want no more to be system and walk with me. When this life ends, see of this place. What's what you do with the trouble? It brought on the best in me. So it's always eyes, second sometimes. I will look after me. I can't go with the fact that I left your race. My kids and the fucked up born like this. Walking with you want that fairy tale in my body. Sensation they want to know her name is Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, oh me. You're on the sensation of my life, the soul. Every time I sound like I told you sorry. But it's inside the blood of baby and I wonder when me. It's just what to kill the fucking misery inside me. I want no more to be system and walk with me. When this life ends and see of this place. Oh, come kill me, please. I can't be here anymore. I love by my fucking life. Fear and dagger, fear and dagger.
These next vocal lines are fucking wild.
This record is made for everyone that hates this world. For those who hate themselves and hate every fucking thing. For those who don't feel accepted in society and who are struggling with themselves. We are one of you, cause this shit is fear and dagger.
Coming into the last track, there's some absolute chaos going on outside my office right now. I have no fucking idea what's going on. Let me pause real quick because there's someone literally sounds like throwing rocks at my office right now and it's making a lot of noise. So whenever I turn the microphone on, I can see it peaking. So give me 1 sec before we finish this album. What the fuck? Someone's doing the bins or something. That's what it is. Give me a sec. Anyways, I'm back. Yeah, the culprit was my dad fucking throwing bins at the wall for whatever reason. But, you know, I'll leave him to it. Dads will be dads. Anyway, this is Judgment Day, the final track. And you can see like my energy has like come down because it's that fatigue just kicks in naturally. Which is always disappointing because I can hear that this is a good track, but it's kind of like, alright, I've gotten everything I need. Let me just pause real quick because it kind of begs the question is like, does that make the album, like, is that something that I should take a break from? Or, like, because that's not how the album was intended to be listened to. Like, I mean, if it's a record from start to finish, it's generally meant to follow the storyline where you listen to it from start to finish. You know, otherwise it would just be different EPs split up. So it almost defeats the purpose of taking some time away from the album because obviously then it's not how it was intended to be done. So give me some feedback on that in the comments, guys, because there's been a few albums now where I've struggled to enjoy the outro segments because it just is naturally quite long. Obviously, I try to give my assessment as I go, so it's naturally a little bit more fatiguing for someone, you know, doing a review as opposed to just listening to it casually because you're not expending so much energy and like thinking about different segments and maybe not listening as in detail because you're not, you know, on camera, I guess, and, you know, I've got lights on me, so it's naturally a little bit more fatiguing. But like just the overall content of the album is very fatiguing as well. Like it's literally slamcore or deathcore, you want to call it. Like an over an hour long deathcore slamcore album is quite extensive, and I've kind of stood by that, and I do stand by that it's still quite long. However, it is an incredible album from what I've heard musically, but the length is going to be one of those that again just seems to be kind of like taking away from it. It was like Periphery's P1 I felt was a little bit long. So this one's going to fall into that same kind of category. To the sides around the tree, I'm breaking on my knees, please just like the pain. Just all this like this, all this I put this against the backside of the feel in the rain. Walk inside my face when they look into the mirror. This was the state I can't and it clearer. Just only road I walk away, get steady. Where does everything in this search for barrier? What do I decide? No one face with what has been untamed me. Government matrix never will, also will. All this time I will let me go. This concept, fear is a blood to get something like that. So I know we're wrong. My fear is
fucking chance I die. Life for instinct. Life is my motherfucking time. My die. Don't say me, 'cause I'm bigger than the needs I got. What a god, what a god. I'm bigger than the needs I got. Take a trinity, Switzerland is no fulfillment. That's all the plague of Paleface. Take it to destroy. You stupid motherfuckers. Assassins! Fucking sense you bullshit! Either but you can't fucking hide, bitch!
Are these guys the people that generated the arf arf arf? Because I always see that, but I never know who's actually doing it. I know architects are like the Blay guys. Are these guys the arf 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 guys?
It's time to fuck it up right now! Don't get fucked, you fucking bitch! Ow! You body bitch! Last fucking chance! Oh, shit! I didn't know. No fucking chance! One more time, bring it to fuck on! Fuck it up! What the fuck is up? This is fucking Paleface! Oh, we are not fucking done yet! Feel the pain! Feel the fucking pain! What the fuck? This is Fear and Dagger! Fear and Dagger! Fear and Dagger! Paleface! Pain! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fear and Dagger!
Right, I've spent the majority of that last track just typing out some thoughts. I actually really like that outro, but I don't know if the track is a little bit too long, like 7 minutes long is a bit much, especially after that album. You know, we've just listened to an hour of it. So I've been writing out some thoughts because it's quite hard to, I guess, think of everything on the spot. So it's nice to have some notes when I do finish up to give the best review I possibly can. So I'll start with the pros because there's a lot of them, and then I'll go into the cons, if not the con, because I think there's just really one con that I can really think of. So again, going back to the rhythmic moments, some of the rhythms in the album do feel misplaced in the best way possible. There was some moments where I found myself trying to headbang along to something and it would just be like a beat or two off, or they would catch me out on a breakdown, a climactic moment in the album. So that was really good, I guess, because it was unpredictable. not like something that I've ever heard before. So it definitely has that unique element where I feel like I want to go back to it, because it's quite hard to find something like that anywhere else. So that's always a pro when I can't figure out the rhythm in the actual album. Then I loved the raw vocals. It's so intense. Obviously the album thematically is very, very grim. A lot of really like it's been subjects that have been done before, but I feel like the delivery of the vocals is very unique. We had the like breathing, the really theatrical performance adds so much tension to the overall album. It feels like it'd be amazing live. Like I feel like these guys would be insane live. Again, I don't think I'd get involved in the mosh pits, but I do believe that the overall energy that they would bring to a room would be amazing, which is also tied into the patriotism. I love the nationalistic feel. They're obviously very, very, patriotic people, as am I when it comes to Ireland. Love my country. I feel like some of these smaller countries definitely can be a little bit more patriotic than some of the massive countries in certain aspects. I know that's not a general rule across the board, but it's cool to see that like a country that like Switzerland, which isn't the biggest country, it's like when Ireland has something, I really, like to see people from Ireland doing well. So it's cool to see a band from Switzerland really like try and nail the message home that they're Swiss. They're not trying to pretend to be anyone else. They're really just hammering that message home. I love the modern, like almost Slipknot feel. Again, it made me feel like I was listening to some of Slipknot's older work. I've been very vocal in the past saying that I'm not the biggest fan of Slipknot's newer stuff. It feels a little bit cringe and forced. Whereas this had the Slipknot raw aggression. Again, that like Corey Taylor style vocal delivery where he's almost like crying, and you can just again feel that tension in the booth. It feels like you're almost there with him. It's kind of like, right, bro, take it, relax for a second, okay? Then again, the very easy, obvious pro is that it's incredible gym music, insane grooves, angry lyrics. I can see myself hitting PRs with this kind of a band. So it's another gym band to add to the list. I thought the My Grave / Lay With Me track was the perfect segue into the outro of the album. So if we actually add it up from a timing standpoint, because it'd be interesting to actually get into the science behind what I believe makes these albums feel a little bit too long. So the overall album is 1 hour and 6 minutes long. I would say cut out, and I don't mean because the outro tracks aren't the best tracks. I don't mean like Judgment Day, Fear and Dagger, Bite the Curb, Hellhole, and No Room Left in Hell. I don't think that they're necessarily the worst tracks on the album. I just think that maybe the album could be slightly rearranged so that My Grave / Lay With Me, which was like the hip hop 808 style instrumental with the, kind of Suicide Boys-esque rap over it. I feel like that was like a really cool way to maybe segue into the outro track. So I would nearly have it give me so that was the 11th track on the album, and that was actually when I decided to take my break. So it was almost like the perfect, it almost as if they structurally felt that same way as well, but they decided to keep going because they probably just had so much content to add to it. So I'd maybe remove some of the tracks. Like I literally liked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tracks in a row. There was 7 tracks in total out of the 16 that I liked off this, which is probably a record. I don't think I've ever liked 7 tracks before. Granted, it's a 16 track album, so it's smaller tracks, so it's a lot easier to like more, but that's still an impressive, back to back liking tracks. So I think because the tempo changed so much with My Grave / Lay With Me, and I did speak of how I was starting to get a little bit fatigued, I would cut the album after 12 tracks and leave 4 out, which would leave the album at about, let's take off 12 minutes, let's take off another 2 minutes, that's 14, let's take off another 4 minutes, that's 16, take off another, so I take off about 14 minutes, which leaves us in and around the kind of 50-minute album mark. I think that would actually be perfect. Now, again, it could be in and around 45, 50, but I think 50 would have been perfect for this. I think the hour and 6 minutes is just getting into that too long territory, especially for something that's so intense. Again, the only real downtime we had was in My Grave / Lay With Me, which I thought was an incredible track, and I was really blown away by that. I didn't think I'd get like emotional over an album like this, but there you go, guys. That was an incredible album. Again, only cons. Well, finishing on the cons, it's a bit annoying to finish on the cons, but look, I think I was fair enough. I think the features didn't feel like they were just there for the sake of it. It felt like they all had their place, like Traders, Landmarks, Justice for the Damned, although I don't know when they were actually included because I don't know what they sound like, but I could definitely guess that I knew the Landmarks feature because his vocals are very unique. The Traders, I believe they did the intro to the track, and then they introduced Paleface, which again kind of led into that like almost live feeling effect of the album. So that was all cool, guys. Overall, my rating for this album, I think it's a strong fucking album, but again, I think the length does let it down. But weighing the pros up against the cons, I think I need a good few listens with this album to kind of go back and listen to the tracks at the end, because again, there was fatigue that crept in, so I couldn't really properly enjoy the last few tracks. So I would say this album is a strong 8.7. I would say this is an 8.7 album. Yeah, that's a strong rating. Again, I'm trying to like reassess how I rate albums. Before I was like 9.5, that's a 9.9. Like, it's a bit much. So I think this is an 8.7 album. Again, really, really cool thematically. I like the completely unique vocal approach, which is very hard to find when you listen to so many different bands on the weekly. So yeah, guys, that is all from me. 8.7, a very strong rating. Please leave a like in this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Make sure you're subbed to the channel. If you would like to make use of the Patreon album tier request, which is what Brandon made use of to get me to react to this album, then do get involved. Patreon.com/DrewFortune. All the links are in the description, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks again to Brandon for suggesting this incredible album. I'm signing out. Look after yourselves. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.
Why you be your friend of dead man? Why just want to lose this?